One of the craziest comebacks we've ever seen from the Vancouver Canucks. With their playoff fate seemingly sealed, they rallied from 3 down in the final minute and somehow beat Dallas 6-5 in overtime. They're still alive. Barely. Let's get into it on Rink Wide Vancouver. And we welcome you inside the Rink Wide Vancouver studios. Trying to catch my breath here. I don't know, in a season that hasn't made a lot of sense, this game made no sense at all. We declared them dead the other night, and look, they're on life support, but they are still alive mathematically, and full credit to the Vancouver Canucks from skater 1 right through the backup goaltender. They didn't go quietly. They could have rolled over in this hockey game. They were done. It was 5-2. With 2 minutes, it was 5-2 with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, I'm still, again, I get it. I'm still trying to process what the hell we just watched in the final minutes of this hockey game, Jeff. It, like you said, it probably, in recent memory, is one of the craziest comebacks that we've seen from this hockey team. Just seeing what some of the people saying on different social channels are. Down Gross Brown wrote something on The Athletic about empty net trivia, and now he's pretty sure the Canucks are the first team in NHL history to pull their goalie down a goal, give up a goal, and then come back to win the hockey game.
It was 5-2 with a minute to play. Atu Ratu scored at the 19-minute mark, and you thought, okay, consolation prize, good for him. And then Pia Suter scores at 19:31, and you're thinking, all right, I mean, they can't, but good on them. And then Suter again with 6 seconds to go. We saw Brock Besser with a buzzer beater in St. Louis a couple of weeks ago. Then we saw Connor Garland in a goalmouth scramble in New Jersey in the final minute. For the third time in the last couple of weeks, the Vancouver Canucks, and they outdid themselves in this one, they tie it up and then they win it. Not on the power play. They earned a power play in overtime. Couldn't score with the extra man, but they do it the hard way. Kiefer Sherwood, his 18th of the season from Connor Garland at 3:44. Quinn Hughes plays all 3:44 of overtime. Of course he did. Why wouldn't he? And the Vancouver Canucks pull a rabbit out of the hat here. And as we said, they are still alive. This is Rink Wide Vancouver. It's brought to you in part by Bet365. I feel like I need to towel off. Just too much going on in the final minute. Again, you wish that these games had more consequence because ultimately the numbers are not in the Vancouver Canucks' favor. But it was fun, and it gives us a lot to talk about here on Rink Wide. So hopefully people are still into breaking down one of the wildest games that we have seen from this group all season long. If you want to get in and get your thoughts through to us here on Rink Wide, hit us up with a super chat. Our charity partner all season long, the BC Mental Health Foundation, changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. And I was thinking to myself as this game came to an end, why couldn't they have saved this for the watch party on Thursday? Could you imagine being in a group setting? And again, the consequences in these games ultimately aren't going to matter for the Vancouver Canucks. But if you had a couple hundred people down at Greta and you watched that third period together, would have been a memorable moment. Who knows what Thursday will bring as the Canucks round out their road portion of the schedule on Thursday in Colorado against the Avalanche. But we are breaking down the Canucks and the Dallas Stars. A crazy night on the power play. Stars score their first 3 goals with the man advantage. The Canucks then score their first 2 on the power play, and it was special teams all around. In fact, of the first 7 goals scored, only one of them at 5-on-5 because Mikael Granlund scores into an empty net at 17:39 of the third period, and you had to think that it was over then, but oh no, it was not. Far from it, in fact, with the drama of the final minute of regulation. The Canucks improved to 36-29-13 on the season. There are 4 games remaining, and this is their 20th victory of the year on the road. They are 14-6 away from home. The Dallas Stars, big bad Dallas Stars, sitting on 50 wins, trying to lock down home ice. Or if this is 3 straight games for the Stars that they have squandered a third period lead. It happened at home to Pittsburgh. It happened in Minnesota on Sunday. And now this one. And I know we focus on the Canucks, but I'm going to be fascinated to see how the Stars try to, well, they couldn't defend late in the hockey game. How did they defend letting a lead like that get away against the Vancouver Canucks?
Oh, I don't think Pete DeBoer is going to be happy. It's going to be Gordon Bombay. His team's going back out onto the ice and practicing right now after that performance. Casey DeSmith was the inside job there for his old team. Couldn't make a save either, like when you needed it.
Well, think how the comeback starts, right? Like just the greasiest Jake DeBrusk goal of the season, and there have been a bunch of them, but banks it in from behind the net off the skate to give the Canucks a little bit of life, and then Mason Marchment takes a double minor for high sticking, puts the Canucks back on the power play. Victor Mancini, of all people, getting in on the scoring. Good for him. It's the old torts, good for him. Maybe not so much good for the hockey club when you're looking at other guys that you think have to step up in these moments. Yeah. But they would take a goal from anybody. And certainly Victor Mancini scoring his first as a Vancouver Canuck cuts the lead to 1. And so at 3-2, very much in the hockey game, but it stayed 3-2 for the bulk of the third. And then when Maverick Bourque scores, the one-timer set up by Jason Robertson from behind the net, you kind of thought, all right, that's going to dash the Canucks hope. And if it didn't, 24 seconds later, it was Granlund into an empty net, and kind of felt like the Canucks had their bags packed and were headed to Denver already. But good on them. Again, I mean, look, they played Vegas hard on Sunday night. They had the crazy run of goals against Anaheim on Saturday. It just makes you think, like, what in the world happened last Wednesday at home against the Seattle Kraken? Like, was that, and we had Farhan in on Sunday, and Farhan maintains that was the reality, that their season was over. That was the game where it sort of hit home, that the playoffs were out of reach, and they just didn't play like it mattered.
I think, well, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to agree with Farhan on that. I think the guys kind of...
You just don't like agreeing with Farhan.
No, well, I mean, before. Like, I think we all knew watching this team that when the season was over, there were glimpses of it. I mean, then you started to do the math maybe around the Seattle game, but you can't sit here and tell me the guys have been checked out. This performance obviously doesn't show that guys have checked out or
no,
now
but that's
booking
why
their
I'm saying the
vacations
Seattle
to
game
Cabo.
sort of stands alone for the wrong reasons. I don't know what happened that night. It is hard to explain. But no, I give them full credit. I thought, again, like Vegas leaned on them in the third period. Vegas had the puck the third period on Sunday night, and the better team ended up winning that hockey game, but it wasn't for a lack of effort from the Vancouver Canucks. Like, we haven't seen the Canucks give up 3 power play goals in a game all season. So the penalty kill that's been really the backbone of the hockey club and one of the real bright spots since Christmas, I don't know where that came from, because the Stars have all kinds of weapons, but their power play by percentage isn't that vaunted, and yet Rantanen scores on the power play, Marchment scores on the power play, and then Duchesne, pretty goal, the 3-0 goal, tic-tac, backdoor pass, and he made no mistake for his 30th of the season, and so they were zipping it around. The Canucks kept taking penalties, and the Stars made them pay. But let me say this, the penalty that got it all going, I thought the Canucks had a really strong start to this hockey game. I thought Nils Höglander had jump again. I thought Connor Garland played hard, as he has most nights all season. But I thought he was going in this game. And I thought for the first 15 minutes or so, the Canucks actually outplayed the Dallas Stars. And then Kiefer Sherwood, and maybe some justice here, because he's in the penalty box for the first goal of the night. I thought that was a terrible call. If what we saw on the replay, now maybe there was something away from the puck that we didn't see, but cameras had him a bit of a chop. But, I mean, you see that 100 times a game, and he got called there. Stars made him pay. So I didn't love the call. And where the Canucks had played reasonably well for the first 15 minutes, they find themselves down 2-0 after the first period of play.
Yeah, and they came to play. Like, their effort wasn't not there. I mean, that's why you guys talked about the Seattle game. They just didn't have it that night. Their effort's been there the last couple, in front of the paying customers at Rogers Arena. You get all those goals against Anaheim. You play Vegas well. And then here you go on the road. Yeah, your effort was there. And, they went against a team that you mentioned that's not a vaunted power play, but they do have those elite goal scorers. They have, Rantanen. You got Matt Duchene, who's put the puck in the net a bunch of times. Marchman's a really good hockey player. They've got guys that can make you pay if you give them the opportunity, and that's exactly what the Canucks did.
Canucks have scored 6 goals in a game 5 times in their last 13 outings. This group, we know, just starved for offense for much of the season. We all know the storylines. But how many games have we done and worked together here where they've, scored 1 or 2?
Lots.
Where, one more goal. We weren't asking for 6 on a lot of those nights where one more goal might have allowed them to get to overtime, or maybe not even get to overtime. Maybe it breaks a tie and they win in regulation. And all of a sudden, these guys have become the 1985 Edmonton Oilers, and you can't stop them. 6 goals in 5 games, 5 times in the last 13. Somebody make some sense. Whatever the case, Pius Suter, Jake DeBrusk tied Brock Besser for the team lead at 25, and then Pius Suter was like, hang on, guys, there's still time for me to win this thing outright. He's up to 24 now.
He said, hang on, guys, it's time for me to make some more money at the end of next season.
He said at 20, he said cha-ching.
Yeah.
He's at 24 now. And again, I didn't think it was a great night for guys like DeBrusk or Pius Suter or Brock Besser, but it's a 60-minute game, and you play to the final buzzer, and good on all those guys. Philip Hronek with assists on the 2 late goals in regulation time. And we mentioned the captain. It's not just the 3 minutes and 44 seconds of ice time. In overtime, it's 30 minutes and 51 seconds in Game 78 of the regular season. But here's the important part for Quinn Hughes. 2 more assists.
Yep.
So he's up to 407 career points. Needs just 2 now to tie Alex Edler, and 3 to move past the Eagle into top spot all-time franchise scoring among defenders. And we know he's going to get there. It's just a question of, does he get there with 4 games to go? Well, if he plays half of each game that's remaining, pretty good chance. There's still a good chance regardless of his ice time, and as long as he stays healthy and he plays. The accolades we've kind of run out for Quinn Hughes. But I do hope that it happens. He can get 2 on Thursday in Colorado. I'm okay with that. I want him to break the record at home so that the crowd has that moment to salute him and celebrate him and share in the moment with him. So that's my one wish, really, for the Vancouver Canucks. I suppose the wish would be for them to run the table here and make things really interesting. Wouldn't it be something if the game against Minnesota mattered on Saturday night? We're getting way ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah.
But
you just pulled themselves out of a coffin.
They're
still sitting in it right now.
Minnesota plays San Jose tomorrow. They're at home against San Jose. San Jose's lost, I think, 5 or 6 in a row. So the Canucks remain on life support, as we said. Their tragic number is 1. If Minnesota does, in fact, win that hockey game, the Canucks are running out of options in terms of being able to catch Minnesota for the tiebreakers. So even if the Canucks ran the table, we're getting down. If Minnesota wins in regulation tomorrow, it is over for the Vancouver Canucks. Not over for the Wild, because Calgary's still in the mix there as well. But, look, in the end, the Canucks are probably going to come up short. We know that. But I certainly hope that we get Rick Cockett's comments post-game here, because all he's asked of his guys is just to play hard, right? To compete, play like it matters here. Leave the chips on the table and see what happens. And he can't ask for more than that final minute of regulation time where the Canucks were all the way back and defeat the Dallas Stars by a score 6-5 in overtime. The overtime winner against Sherwood, his 18th of the year from Garland at 3:44. Did they tack on a second assist? Just want to make sure, no, that is the scoring play. And it came moments after the penalty to Mikko Rantanen got called for slashing 46 seconds into overtime, and the Canucks had the 4-on-3 power play on a night where power play goals were being scored by the bunch. But in the end, they couldn't score on that power play, but they do score in overtime. And so, yes, Casey DeSmith, who I think he was 8-1-1 in his last 10 starts. He's got to make some saves late in the hockey game, obviously. You know, they're giving him a start here to rest Jake Ottinger down the stretch. And who knows how things might go if Jake Ottinger's in there. That wasn't the point. It was Casey Smith. The Canucks found a way to beat him. And Thatcher Demko, this is wild too, because Thatcher Demko has owned the Dallas Stars throughout his career. The last time in, back on January 31st, when JT Miller was traded and the Canucks were short-staffed, Demko suffered his first regulation loss against the Stars of his career. So he came into this game at 7-1-1, and all of a sudden is now 8-1-1 lifetime against, and the Stars have been really good in Thatcher's time in the National Hockey League. So who knows what it is about that Dallas Stars uniform. And you can't sit here and say that Thatcher Demko was fantastic. He wasn't. Neither goaltender was. They 11 goals scored. I mean, a bunch of them with power play. I get that. But in the end, Thatcher Demko comes out of this thing with another victory. So they're not all pretty, and they're not all the same. But Thatcher Demko is victorious in this hockey game as the Canucks down the Dallas Stars. I mentioned Jake DeBrusk. Let's talk about him for. Let's get into the 3 stars before we go any further, and then we'll talk about Jake DeBrusk. The 3 stars, as always, here on Rink Wide Vancouver, are a presentation of Greta Bar YVR. Love to look at the stars in the building. And Bruce Levine, who covers the Stars, a writer down in Dallas. Kiefer Sherwood and Pia Suter. So often we see home cooking, but 2 Canucks at the top of the list, Sherwood and Suter, and Mikhail Granlund, who did have 3 points in this hockey game, but 1 into an empty net and 2 secondary assists. We considered him, but in the end, we went a little different here on Rink Wide. Our 3 stars, Pia Suter, 2 goals, 5 shots. I thought relatively quiet in the early going and part of a penalty kill that, has been terrific for the Canucks. But for whatever reason, that went out the window. So I said, slow start for Suter, but big finish, and ultimately the 2 goals that tie this thing and get it to overtime. Connor Garland was buzzing early on a line with Suter and Nils Höglander. Garland ends up with 3 assists, so primary assist on the game winner. Connor Garland, the 2nd star. And Victoria's Jamie Benn, still sitting on 399 career goals, has had 2 chances against the Canucks. He's gone 13 games now without scoring, but he had a couple of primary helpers on the Marchment goal. Nice play from down low. Sets up Marchment at the side of the net, and then as we talked about the passing on the Duchesne goal, Benn, the man in the middle, slips it over to Matt Duchesne. And so 2 helpers there, a couple of hits, and still plugging along is the veteran captain, going to be an unrestricted free agent. We'll see if he continues his career with the only organization that he has known, or if the Stars feel that they got to move on. But they're getting out from, making 9.5, so that's going to open up more cap space for the Dallas Stars. But the $12 million contract of Mikko Rantanen kicks in next season. But there you go. Those are the 3 stars: Pia Suter, Connor Garland, and Jamie Benn. The Stars are brought to you by Greta Bar. We've got the Canucks Army viewing party on Thursday. Vancouver's at Colorado. Hopefully you'll come down. And again, if it turns into anything close to this one, it'll be a ton of fun. But we'll try and make it fun regardless. We got some prizes to give away. And join Canuck fans, like-minded Canuck fans. So one last time here, the final road game of the season. We tell you about Greta all the time. All those big screens, not a bad seat in the house, the arcade games. You can order off the terrific new street food menu. Got weekly drink specials as well. And the watch party is free. We decided, out of the goodness of our heart, general admission is free, so just come on down. VIP option is still available for $40. It gets you a burger, a beer, and an arcade game card as well. Reserved seating in some of the prime spots there at Greta. So whether you just want to walk in off the street, whether you want to reserve in advance, you can do that if you want the VIP package. Hit us up at nationgear.ca. Got to be 19 plus to attend. Doors open at 5. The game is at 6 o'clock. Van at Colorado, and it's all presented by Fountain Tire and in support of Kids Sport Vancouver.
So the Canucks are the first team in NHL history to win a game after erasing a 3-goal deficit in the final minute of regulation.
History! You saw some
this Vancouver Canucks team. This one.
Again, the season makes no sense. So much of the season makes no sense. But, they set a franchise record on Saturday with 5 goals in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And really, did they outdo themselves here? 3 minutes and 44 seconds. 4 minutes. No, not quite.
Almost.
But they scored 4 goals in 4:44 of playing time. So twice in a 3-game span, these guys explode for goals at a rapid rate, unlike anything that we've ever seen from the Vancouver Canucks. Go figure. Just happy I was here to share it with you. I want to talk about Jake DeBrusk because we talked about his goal. It was a little greasy. A lot of his goals have been greasy, let's be honest, right? Like in and around the net. They all count. And he's up to 25 now. So he's got the share of the team lead with Brock Besser. 4 games remaining. A little derby going on, and P.S. Suter wants in on that action as well. I thought, for the most part, DeBrusk was relatively quiet. I'm surprised when I look at the box score that he finished with 4 shots on 6 attempts. I don't remember a lot of his shot attempts, but
his goal wasn't even
right,
kind of.
Yeah, banks it in off the left pad of Casey DeSmith, who gets dragged out of position as he takes the puck down low behind the goal line. 13 of Jake DeBrusk's goals, 13 of his 25 on the power play. Somebody's got to convert on the power play. It's been a struggle at 5-on-5 since Christmas. We've documented that an awful lot here on Rink Wide. You'd like him to be a little less streaky when the streaks are going the wrong way, but we'll see if he can finish up strong here. What do you make of Jake DeBrusk's season in totality?
I mean, for 25 goals at what you paid to get him, that's probably a pretty good season for Jake DeBrusk.
I think it is.
Right?
$5.5 million.
Yeah, if that's 25 goals scored, that's Jake DeBrusk right there. You got your money. I mean, I think people were very worried about how many he scored at home versus the road. He's a streaky scorer. Jake DeBrusk isn't the type of guy that's going to get you the goals that end up on highlight reels, right? He's a streaky goal scorer. He's a goal scorer that they're greasy, they're not pretty. Banks in. You mentioned the 13 on the power play. Obviously, a lot of those were in tough areas. Areas that Brock Besser was used to scoring when he had a lot of power play goals last season. But yeah, for the most part, that's kind of been Jake DeBrusk this year. And I think if you're a Canucks fan, you should be happy with it. I think if you're management, you're thrilled by it. That you give him $5.5 million and he gets 25 goals, and that's it. Like, that is cha-ching for you. That is a good piece of business for you as a management group and Jake DeBrusk. Now, you hope you can finish the season strong, maybe get a couple more here as the last games goes on, but that's pretty much as advertised this season for Jake DeBrusk.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
That at the outset, when they signed him, you thought, all right, this is a guy that has been in that ballpark of 25 a couple of times, and in the seasons that he set his career highs, was injured, didn't play a full 80 games, and I thought, or 82 games. The other part of the equation is he was supposed to be locked to the hip of Elias Pettersson all season, and we know the problems that Petey has had. So this guy has bounced around, has played with a bunch of different setters. On the weekend was playing with Teddy Bluger, which was going to be difficult for him to generate a lot of offense. And as we said, at 5-on-5, still relatively quiet, but on the power play has found the knack, and you add them all up at the end of the year, and I think for $5.5 million, 25. There's reason to think if they can find better offensive drivers in the offseason, that's going to be the challenge. If Elias Pettersson comes back anywhere close to his star form, if those two guys can forge chemistry, I still think that Jake DeBrusk can be a 30-goal scorer at some point over the duration of this contract. But if this is the jumping on point for him in a season where a lot of guys have not met expectations, I would say with 25 goals now, we can put that discussion to bed that, he's met the expectations, and from here on out, however many he gets, pretty much gravy for Jake DeBrusk. Which brings us to our stat that stands out. And if you're a regular here on Rink Wide, you know that each and every game we try to come up with something a little unique or quirky or whatever. This one focuses on Jake DeBrusk, and as is usual, or kind of tipped his hand, but he didn't give it away entirely. You talked about the discrepancy between home and away.
Yeah, I didn't give it away.
No, you teased it. 18
good
of Jake DeBrusk's 25 goals this season have come on the road. Like, explain that. Like so many other things tonight. Somebody help us out, explain that. He's a top 10 scorer on the road, top 10 goal scorer in the National Hockey League away from home. And as you can do the math there, just 7 goals coming at Rogers Arena. Remember, went the first 9 games of the season, didn't score till the California road trip in early November, and then got on that absolute heater late November into December, sort of through Christmas, and then has gone in and out a little bit. Scored the last time the Canucks were in Dallas, and he scored this time. So both times the Canucks were down in the Lone Star State, Jake DeBrusk scores 18 of his 25 goals have come away from Rogers Arena. So that definitely the stat that stands out, which is brought to you by Resurrection Spirits. Now, we're changing our tune a little bit here. When we tell you about Resurrection Spirits, we've been telling you about their product line and the S&P Gin. How about this? Bogey Juice. Big golf tournament coming up starting on Thursday in Augusta.
They don't need much of those.
No, maybe not there, but if you're like the guys that I play with, myself too, Bogey Juice might be for you. In fact, we hope it is. Crafted with a tantalizing blend of crisp apple flavoring and kickin' ginger for that refreshing zing, every shot of Bogey Juice is like a hole-in-one for your taste buds, sweetened to perfection with simple syrup and made even smoother with top-shelf vodka. It's the only juice that's guaranteed to make your golf buddies beam with envy despite the score it refers to. Check out bogeyjuice.com for more information and use promo code SP15, SP15 for 15% off Bogey Juice product and merchandise. All right, so we've talked a little bit about the comeback here. We've talked about some of the individuals involved. This is becoming a regular thing here on Rink Wide as well. Or if you can't get too deep into the program without the name Aatu Räty coming up.
Yeah.
And Aatu Räty gets his 7th of the season, set up by Marcus Pettersson at the 19-minute mark. That made it 5-3, and again gave the Canucks a little bit of a spark here. Looked like it would be an afterthought, but it turns out to be pretty important to get the ball rolling in the final minute. And for Aatu Räty, his 5th goal in 7 games. So all of a sudden, he's holding the hot hand for the Vancouver Canucks. And check this out. For a guy that has played for 2 organizations and has been up and down between the minors and the NHL, in 44 career NHL games, so just past a half season's worth of games in totality, guy's got 9 goals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not a terrible total. Like, if you double it, 18-goal score at age of 22. Again, there's a lot to like right now, and he's a confident guy, and sure, shooting percentage working in his favor. He's not going to score 5 goals every 7 games for the rest of his career, but right here, right now, when Rick Tocchet wants to see who wants to be part of this thing moving forward, and next year, Aatu Räty sitting there putting his hand up and say, hey, take a look at me.
Well, where's a pretty big need that the Canucks are going to have to address next season, right? What position? It's a center ice position. I'm not saying, Aatu Räty is going to be the guy. I still think that they're going to go out and get someone, but you can probably pencil Räty in to go and push for a roster spot next season, to go and be a guy on a cheap contract that management obviously loves, but to be able to go in and contribute every single night. And he's been able to do it. Look, the games are meaningless-ish right now for the Vancouver Canucks right now.
Yes.
But look, they're not out of it until they're out of it. But when you're getting guys that go in and no matter what the circumstances of the game that they're playing, he's going out and performing like it's his last day in the NHL. And I think those are the types of things, those are the intangibles that Rick Tocchet's going to like, that Patrick Allvin's going to look at and say, okay, we need this guy here, because it doesn't matter what point of the game, what point of the season we're in, he's still going to go work his ass off. And he's been doing that every single game when he's been in the NHL lineup. And even in Abbotsford, they've been having a hell of a season, and he's been playing well there as well.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the goal. He had an assist as well, so a 2-point game for him. 12 minutes and 53 seconds of ice time, a couple of shots. Fell short at the face-off circle, which is a rarity for Aatu Räty, but won 5 of 13, so 38% in the circle at a block shot as well. But I just think the confidence is growing there, on that line. And I do like the fact that Rick Tocchet, a guy who has, for various reasons, and understandably so, gone to the blender and mixed up lines through the season looking for spark, and a lot of those games that we talked about, that's been a constant here for the last couple of weeks, has been Räty with Joshua and Sherwood. Kiefer Sherwood was involved again. He had a chance all alone in front of the net early in the hockey game to open the scoring, and got mixed. Casey DeSmith gave him a little shot with the blocker. We talked about a weak penalty. I thought there could have been a penalty on DeSmith, and Sherwood could have drawn one, but no call there. Whatever the case, I thought Räty was involved, thought Sherwood was involved, thought it was a relatively quiet night for Dakota Joshua. I didn't notice him as much on that line, but that line has, they got some good stuff going right now.
Yeah, another thing about Räty, just furthering down the conversation next season, he's no longer waiver eligible, so he's going to have to be on the roster. I don't think the Canucks are going to take that chance with him, especially since he was in a trade, or they traded for him, or he was part of a deal. But and I think another thing, even furthering this even more, it's playing a player in a position to succeed. You're giving him ice time. You're playing him with players that can play, at a higher level, and you're not playing him in the bottom of the lineup where you're not giving him any ice time. You're putting him on moments where he's comfortable. You're comfortable putting him out there, which means you've gotten the trust of him. So obviously he's doing something right. And yeah, we've sat here and tried to talk about him before, and this is a good story where we're sitting here and talking about a guy like Ratu.
Lots of people with lots of thoughts, as you can imagine. Crazy123 says DeSmith was the inside job. Light Engine says, I call this the Sabre syndrome. When the season's finished and there's no playoffs, you play the best hockey or the hardest efforts. And look, Buffalo shut out Carolina earlier tonight, so maybe there is something to that. But whatever the case, we said, Canucks not going quietly outside of the game against Seattle. K-Town Chef says the comeback was fun and mostly irrelevant, but I'm loving that Ratu is looking like a legit center option for next year. Gerald McDowell, Jets fans say thank you. Too bad it was in OT. Yeah, and that's another thing, that this Dallas team had a ton to play for. And as we said, lost to Pittsburgh, lost to Minnesota, and lost this one. Now, the last couple have been in overtime, so they at least get single points there. But the Jets quite happy to see the Dallas Stars sort of scuffle along here to the finish line. And ultimately, you see how it all shakes down and what the matchups are going to be in that Central Division. There's a lot of really good teams. Minnesota's getting Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson Ek back. In fact, many might have those guys when they're here on Saturday to face the Vancouver Canucks. And obviously, a little desperate times now for Minnesota. They need to kind of right the ship there ahead of the playoffs, but getting Kaprizov back, if he can get his form, that will go a long way. One of the most dynamic players in the National Hockey League. Yeah, Jacob, our producer, saying quite a few Jets fans in our stream thanking the Canucks for beating Dallas tonight. Michael says, how about Hronek going 100% in the faceoff circle?
He almost fell.
That was pretty funny that they start with Ratu to win the faceoff, to get possession, and then Ratu gets waved out of the opening faceoff in overtime. They had Hughes and Hronek. I'm surprised that, wonder what went into that. Like, why didn't Quinn go in to take the faceoff? But
because Quinn's got to get the puck from the tie-up and the ensuing tie-up. Just go get the puck and get it on your stick.
He had enough on his plate in overtime, playing all 3 minutes and 44 seconds. So, yeah, Philip Hronek, who ends up with a couple of assists on those tying goals at the buzzer and then out there to start overtime. So, yes, how about that? He wins a faceoff. Don't see that an awful lot. We got a super chat from Swerve and Irvin. Make it make sense. Yes, I think I've already asked people.
We're trying to.
I know. So Swerve comes in with the super chat in support of the BC Mental Health Foundation. We do appreciate that. Keep the comments coming if you've got some things to add, some perspective. If you can help us sort of sort through this thing, sift through the details. Hard to process it all in real time. Just taking a look at some of the final numbers here. When we talked about the first period, again, the Stars scored both their goals in the first on a power play. At 5-on-5, the Canucks had the only high-danger chances of the first period. The high dangers were 5-0 through 20 minutes of play. On the night, Canucks had 12 high dangers compared to Dallas with just 9. Canucks control 56% of the shot attempts in the hockey game. The shots were 10-0 midway through the third period. And so when we talk about the Canucks, digging in and not rolling over, that's another indication there that they got the early goal 16 seconds into the third from Nebraska and a little bit of life, but they were out shooting. I mean, they were taking the play to Dallas. Was this the Stars sitting back thinking that they were okay at 3-1? Probably, but in the end, and they're going to get Miro Heiskanen back at some point, but maybe not in the first round of the playoffs.
Hence, again.
If they're going to go up against, who knows, Colorado in the opening round, pretty good chance. This is their defense. And so there may be some concern there for Pete DeBoer and the coaching staff. Individually, when we look at the Canucks and their night on ice in this hockey game, Kiefer Sherwood was the Corsi King at 65.2%. The actual shots were 7-5 in the Canucks' favor. The defenseman, Elias Pettersson, carrying an individual Corsi of 65%. The shots were 12-7 in the Canucks' favor with DPD on the ice. Rick Tocchet made a couple of tactical adjustments. So even the coach not mailing it in, put Max Sasson up higher in the lineup with this lack of centerman. Teddy Bluger wasn't getting it done as a second-line center. So I like the idea of Sasson going up. And then he flipped the young defenseman, and DPD on his right-hand side as a left-shot defenseman paired with Quinn Hughes. So a great opportunity there. And I thought DPD held his own. And Victor Mancini dropped down after a couple of games with Quinn Hughes and was paired with Derek Forbort, who he has played with in the past. Let's talk about the nights for both of the young defensemen, because Mancini scores his first goal as a Canuck, second in the National Hockey League, had one with the Rangers before the trade. And that goal, wrist shot from the point, some really nice work in the corner. Ratu digs the puck free, gets it back. And Linus Karlsson, who I noticed him. And, we talk about guys playing for jobs, and he's got the contract, the one-way deal for next year. He's looking more and more like a National Hockey Leaguer. Again, the bar pretty low right now on this team with all the injuries, but when you notice him doing the right things, standing his ground in front of the net, taking away the eyes of the goaltender, like those are the things you want to see. And so the Mancini goal probably doesn't happen without Linus Karlsson, who ends up getting the second assist there, was in the corner for the puck battle and then headed to the front of the net. Good for Victor Mancini. I saw Adam Kierszenblatt from the Hockey News on Twitter point out just the second defenseman to score a power play goal for the Vancouver Canucks this season.
Crazy. Who's the first?
The guy that's out there for every power play. Quinn plays almost entirely, but they've had Tyler Myers, they've had Hronik had some power play time when Quinn wasn't in the lineup. A little surprised to see that statistic. What do you make of Victor Mancini? And, you're not looking to him for a ton of offense, but at that point in the hockey game, they take contribution from anybody. If it turns out to be one of their depth defensemen, hey, so be it.
Young depth defensemen are on cheap contracts are what you need if you're a contender or a playoff team or someone that wants to go deep. And Victor Mancini is going to learn the NHL. He's going to learn it a lot. He's going to play a lot here in the next few games. This is great for the Vancouver Canucks because just looking at it from a standpoint of going to have to improve your roster, like I'm not saying that Victor Mancini or DPD is someone that they're going to go and trade, but you're now starting to collect assets. Like these are players that if you don't see them, view them as part of your future. Yeah, I know they traded for me as part of the JT Miller deal and things like that, but these are guys that are on your roster that other teams might be like, okay, well, we want him if you want a good player. Like everyone's auditioning for a job, whether it's here or whether it's for another team in the National Hockey League. Everyone's going out and auditioning every single night. And Victor Mancini is making the most of his ice time every single game. And I think that that's the big thing. He plays big, but he doesn't play like annoyingly big where you notice him for all the wrong things. Like where we've seen Tyler Myers sometimes, the stupid stick penalties that Rick Tocchet's referred to, Derek Forbort getting lost, obviously Vinny Desharnais and all his faults that he's had. In the short period that we've seen from Victor Mancini here with the Vancouver Canucks, he's looked pretty good.
There's obviously still some growing to do. I mean, he's not a finished product.
Yeah.
And so the goal is great, but I would take you back to the early stages of the second period when it's a 2-0 hockey game, and Sam Steele, of all people, walks Mancini down the right wing, cuts hard to the net, outweights Thatcher Demko, and I thought he had waited too long, was still able to get a puck to the line, and then Mancini tucked it back in the pads of Demko, so it didn't turn into a goal. But, you got to find a way to defend that play better, and I'm sure they'll work with him and go over some video there. And we saw that the other night when he was paired with Quinn Hughes as well. He had the bad bounce on the one goal that went off his skate. Not going to blame him for that one, but there were still a few other defensive assignments that didn't quite go the way that he and the team would like. So they'll keep working with him. Adam Foote, I think he sees him as a project there that they can continue to mold. The other guy that is still young, but just continues to impress on a nightly basis, and we talked about his individual Corsi. You know what I like most about DPD on this night? Took no shit whatsoever from Mikko Rantanen. Like, threw Mikko Rantanen as a big man and threw him to the ice. And Rantanen comes back at him. I was glad DPD kind of got his glove up, I think, just enough to sort of block. Like, Rantanen looked like he meant business with the cross-check. Like, I think he was out there to, exact a little bit of revenge. But this is a young guy that hasn't even played 30 games in the National Hockey League, and Rantanen's a bull. And DPD's no small man. And you saw that there. Like, he absolutely sat Mikko Rantanen down, and I don't think Rantanen liked it.
Yeah, DPD's he's learning the NHL game a lot faster than a guy like Victor Mancini is. Obviously plays a lot more, but again, another guy the Canucks are lucky to have. A guy that organizationally, of the prospects, that they have for currently, like they view him as one of the highest, right? And I think when you look at that and you have that abundance of guys with him and Lekkerimäki and Willander and, you know, now Victor Mancini and Aatu Räty and guys like Linus Karlsson, like there's a lot of good players there, right? If you're able to develop them, if you're able to get them to graduate from the Abbotsford Canucks and make contributions every single night here at the big club, you know, you're going to find ways to pay other players the big money and have your guys at good, reliable contracts where you can go and compete. And DPD and, you know, obviously Victor Mancini are definitely examples of that.
Just looking at the box score here with DPD, his night, 15 minutes of ice time, 3 shots and 7 attempts. Now, he scored his first NHL goal the other day. I still don't expect that he's going to be this big offensive producer, but 7 attempts in limited ice time.
He's playing with Quinn. He's just watching what he does.
5 hits as well, and then the penalty that he got along with Rantanen. So keep it up, man. Just 4 games to go here. Finish strong, and absolutely when we look at you know, the short list of players that have exceeded expectations for the Vancouver Canucks this season, he is absolutely going to be up there near the top of the list. So fun to watch, and you know, we'll see what he does in the next outing. And look, Tyler Myers isn't on the road trip, so the 6 defensemen they've got, these guys are going to play.
Yep.
And as much as I hope Myers is okay, I don't know. His injury's been undisclosed, left the Seattle game, and we haven't seen him since. I don't know if he's done for the year, but 4 games to go. A veteran guy like that, there's no need for him to hustle back if the injury is there. He's a good team guy, and I'm sure he'd like to play if he could, but in his absence, it means opportunity. So we'll see if the Canucks got through this game fully unscathed because they're going with a skeleton crew. They had no healthy scratches. Hedl, Petey, Myers, Oman, all of them left behind. They've got 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, and the 2 goaltenders. So what you see is what you get if they do have some sort of injury. They'll have tomorrow to call somebody up from Abbotsford, and Abbotsford doesn't play until the weekend. So it's not a huge deal there, but you don't generally see the Canucks go on a road trip without a healthy player somewhere along the line, an extra player, usually an extra defenseman who, you know, if he had to get plugged in as a 12 forward, we've seen that sometimes from the Vancouver Canucks throughout the season. Canucks beat Dallas somehow, some way. They beat Dallas by a score of 6-5 in overtime on Kiefer Sherwood's goal at the 3:44 mark. And don't get lost in everything else here that Kiefer Sherwood now has 18 goals this season to go along with his 5,000 hits or whatever it is. Where he tops out, I don't think he can get to 500, but you know, another Kiefer Sherwood night, 5 more hits along with the goal. So he's going to be up over 450 certainly. When all is said and done. This segment of Rink Wide brought to you by your Pacific Toyota dealers, and they want to tell you about the Toyota BZ4X, a 100% electric vehicle. It's backed by the peace of mind of knowing it's Toyota and that spark of joy you get when you pass a gas station and you don't have to stop. It's got all sorts of cargo capacity, whether the hockey season's winding down and you're turning to baseball and all the gear that goes along there. You see those kids now with the big bat bags and everything else, or golf equipment, can store golf clubs there, all the kids, all other stuff, dogs, you name it. It's got this cargo capacity that you're looking for from an SUV, and it can handle any terrain, so it'll take you wherever you need to go. And when you choose the BZ4X, you can get up to $6,500 in rebates and incentives. And right now, you can finance a 2025 BZ4X from 0.99% APR for 36 months. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today.
Got a couple super chats. One from James Hansen. Are we still on the fence about Suter? And another one from Spatzilly. Will Willander be better than DPD? Since we were just talking about DPD, I'm going to give the guy the edge that's played NHL games so far. We haven't really. What we see is what we have for DPD, and just there's no evidence of Willander playing at this level. Obviously, top prospect, high draft pick for the Vancouver Canucks, but let's temper the expectations because we have a guy already playing in the National Hockey League.
And we should mention Thursday, while the Canucks are playing the Colorado Avalanche, Willander's Boston University team taking on Penn State. That's the second of the 2 games, the 2 semifinals on Thursday in St. Louis. So Tom Willander's college career could come to an end as early as Thursday evening, or if BU gets past Penn State, then they would play for the national championship against the winner of Denver and Western Michigan. Those are the other teams. They're making up the Frozen Four. So Thursday, 5:30 Pacific time face-off. And we'll certainly keep you posted on the post-game Rink Wide on Thursday as the Canucks take on the Colorado Avalanche. So, look, Willander is a prospect. He's a right shot guy, obviously. But DPD's got 30 games of NHL experience on him right now and doesn't look out of place as the NHL body. I think Willander's going to have the smarts and, a lot of comparisons to like a Dan Hamhuis kind of player that probably won't blow you away on a lot of nights, but is just going to do everything really well. And the Canucks absolutely can use that. The other question about Suter, it's at what price? I mean, that's going to be the literally multi-million-dollar question here moving to the offseason. You like everything about him, but is he pricing himself out of the Vancouver Canucks neighborhood with 24 goals now as a pending unrestricted free agent?
I think if he's going to go and get his money, good for him. Yeah. I've always said that about any players. Go out and do it. If the Canucks think that they can get him on a quote-unquote hometown discount to stay, that'd be great. I still think the Canucks would have to go and get another centerman after that as well. Don't know, Philip Hito's situation and kind of what's going to go on there. Hope the best for him. And, he's able to play and resume his life at, obviously a normal level. Elias Pettersson, if he's not a 100-point guy next year, like what are we doing here? You got to go get a center that's able to go and do that. And, is Suter going to be the answer there? And like you just said, at what price? Are you going to pay a guy that he may never score 24 goals again, $4-point-something million a year on an AAV? I'm not entirely sure you can do that.
Right, and I think I look at him as terrific as he's been for the Vancouver Canucks. I like his smarts. I like, and Rick talks all the time about him basically being like an assistant coach. Like this guy thinks the game, processes it well. But we've seen this before, and even Brock Besser last year got to 40. Great, good for Brock. 40 is a cool number, but I don't think of Brock Besser as a 40-goal scorer moving forward here. I'm not sure that he'll get back to 40 in his career. I'll give him a chance, but I'm going to continue to look at Pius Suter as sort of the 15 to 18 goal scorer that is the Swiss Army knife, that is a terrific penalty killer, that can play in all situations and can move up the lineup. But as this team tries to get better and brings in elite level talent, he's not going to get the opportunity that he's had here for the last little while of playing 20 minutes a night. And so I think it's fair to expect that there'll be some regression for a couple of reasons with Pius Suter, but it doesn't take away from the here and now. And he has been terrific. Somebody did the math here. He's got 19 points in his last 20 games. He's been a point-a-game guy over a quarter of the schedule, where it looked and felt on some nights like others had perhaps checked out a little bit, but he has stepped up and embraced this opportunity to play and play a lot and play with better players. So absolutely opening eyes around the National Hockey League, and if the Canucks aren't able to get a deal done with him, he gets to July 1st, there will be many phone calls coming his way. As we look around the National Hockey League, and really, Minnesota didn't play, and that's the team that matters the most to the Canucks. Neither did Calgary. Utah is pretty much out of things, but Utah laying a whooping on the Seattle Kraken. I guess the Kraken may be a little happy getting their 2-1 win in Los Angeles last night. 7-1 for the hockey club in the third period.
Not many teams beat the Kings on their own home ice, so they definitely were happy about that one.
Went strutting into Delta Center or whatever it's called and getting their lunch fed to them at 7-1. Heavyweight showdown is through two periods of play. Vegas and Colorado in a 2-all tie. That game in Denver, and obviously the Avs are next up for the Vancouver Canucks. All right, time for our line of the night, brought to you by Bet365. And for that, Irf, we turn it over to you.
There's a lot of hockey on the schedule. It's great. Breaking news, Jeff. There's a lot of hockey, and it's coming from Bet365. For every nail-biting overtime win, it's a barn-burner face-off hat trick, power play shot on goal, penalty shot in every suspenseful minute, especially like this game. It was a very suspenseful minute. It's amazing. Whatever the moment, never ordinary. Bet365, official partner of the NHL. Download Bet365, use code NATION to get in on the game. You must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Yes, to the ice we go. For tomorrow, I definitely do like the Tampa Bay Lightning at home to the Toronto Maple Leafs. the Flyers in New York. I think the Rangers stink, and the Minnesota Wild to defeat the San Jose Sharks. Most Canuck fans will probably be cheering for the San Jose Sharks, as the Canucks, they wouldn't go away yet.
Nope, 4 to go.
But yeah, put some odds on that, and it'll look pretty good. Jacob, also, I'm just wondering, there's something really funny that I saw. Do we have the game-tying goal? If we can go and show it, please. Jeff, I want you to watch this for a second. It's a game-tying goal. I thought it was...
I just need like 20 seconds to pull it up.
No problem. Take your time.
That would be Pius Suter's second of the final minute
Yeah.
at 1954. Hronek and Hughes getting the assist. 24th goal of the season, as we said, for Pius Suter.
His shot! Oh, Hronek just missed it. The side center. They score!
Okay, in the corner of that, Connor Garland is 173 centimeters, 5'8". He jumps 4 feet in the air, celebrating that goal. If you just watch it again, he's going to come around, and then he takes what? There's the jump, and then he goes a wide turn to go around, and he's the last guy in. I just thought it was funny.
He got the hops
He's
there.
got the hops there.
It in the moment, it looked like Suter wasn't like I wasn't sure
know.
that Suter knew he had scored, and yet he had a clear line of sight to the net. Maybe he was stunned as everybody else. Hey, it's a tie game.
Yeah.
Shame they couldn't have won it in regulation. No, we won't go that far. Good on the Vancouver Canucks for just chipping away, coming all the way back and winning this thing by a score of 6-5. And so, yes, this offensively starved team finding ways to score in bunches over the last couple of weeks. We should shout out Travis Green and Nolan Baumgartner and the Ottawa Senators.
Huge shout out to Travis Green. Yeah.
Sens, they lost tonight in Columbus. That's not why we're shouting them out. The Sens are going to the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. So it's been a tough decade mostly without playoff hockey here in Vancouver. Has not been the best of times in the nation's capital, but fun young team. Lots of offensive talent up front, and Jake Sanderson coming into his own on the back end. Got the goaltending from Linus Ullmark most of the season. Yeah, the Ottawa Senators are going to the playoffs. So
It's interesting, though. Like, back as a head coach, too. We've got his different coaching staff there, Bombers there as well. But with that roster, right? Again, you're talking about guys getting the most out of some of their players. You know, Pius Suter here in Vancouver, a guy like Adam Gaudette. Yeah, right. In Ottawa, he's having himself a hell of a year. Other players that have played well, Claude Giroux, obviously he's been in the league forever, but having himself a really good season. And then led by their big dogs. Traded Josh Norris, Dylan Cousins come in and has had an incredible start to his campaign with the Ottawa Senators. So yeah, good for them.
Mike Yeo left Vancouver, joined Travis' staff there. So lots of familiar faces behind that Ottawa bench. Next up for the Canucks, Colorado. And again, they're in a 2-2 tie as we do the live stream right now. So we'll see how things go at home against Vegas. Just 2-2-1 in their last 5. But since dropping their first 2 games out of the Four Nations break, the Avs are 14-3-2. Only St. Louis has more points in the National Hockey League over that span. So the Avs have overhauled their goaltending. They've overhauled the center ice position in season. And, of course, Nathan McKinnon, 115 points. Cale Makar, 30 goals and 91 points. And they're getting some healthy bodies back, too. Marty Necas, Jonathan Drouin, Josh Manson, Sam Girard, all expected to play sometime this week, so possibly against the Canucks on Thursday. And Mackenzie Blackwood, we talked about, they couldn't get saves in the early going. Well, Mackenzie Blackwood has a 2.23 goals against and a .916 save percentage since joining the Colorado Avalanche. So a good fit there. He's found a home, and they've found a goaltender. And so not going to be easy for the Vancouver Canucks, but they have beaten the Avs twice already this season. Kiefer Sherwood had a hat trick in one of the games. Avs got a late goal to break a shutout in the other one. So Canucks have kept Nathan McKinnon off the score sheet to this point. Can they do it 3 straight games? That's going to be a challenge, obviously. And this Colorado team priming for the playoffs. So they'll mean business, without a doubt. We'll see how the Canucks handle that one. And we have to mention as well the story that is the Abbotsford Canucks. Now, they don't play again until the weekend, but they've got their final 2 home games coming up on Saturday and Sunday out at the Abbotsford Event Center. And I do hope people are flocking to see what this Abbey team is all about with 13 straight wins. So they have earned the support of hockey fans in the Fraser Valley and even from Metro Van. They're going to go up against a home game for the Canucks here downtown on Saturday. But I hope that people are starting to warm up to this, and they should be, ahead of the playoffs. So 2 games to go in the regular season at home, and then they finish with 3 on the road down in California. and then it's on to playoff hockey. So they're not likely to be playoff hockey for the big league team, but definitely the baby Canucks are headed to the postseason, and they're going in with a bullet the way that they have played here for the last, 6 weeks or so.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think, and for what you're seeing now, you go and watch those players. Like, that's the future. And I think you got to give Manny Malhotra a lot of credit, his staff, Ryan Johnson as well, the way that they're developing players and getting the players to make the jump. You know, DPD, Linus Karlsson, Atu Ratu, guys that have come in and made contributions right away when they've been able to get their shot. So huge shout out to the Abbotsford Canucks. And yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to see some playoff hockey there.
I just want to correct myself. The games this weekend are Friday and Saturday. So 7 o'clock starts both Friday and Saturday. The Abbotsford Canucks at home to the Calgary Wranglers. And Saturday night is fan appreciation night out at the Abbey Event Center. So, good on them. We'll be charting them, and hey, we may be talking about them a fair bit. Rink Wide post game for AHL playoffs? Yeah, you never know. Crazier ideas have crossed my desk. Did you see on the Canucks website and their socials, Canucks in Cars with Philip Hedl?
I did.
I got to laugh. I mean, look, they've got sponsor obligations that they've got to meet with these activations, but the disclaimer right off the top that this was filmed before March 15th, which of course was the night that he suffered the heavy hit from Jason Dickinson, and we haven't seen him on the ice since. So I don't know if people were freaking out that somehow Philip Hedl shouldn't be driving in Vancouver traffic since he had the concussion. Canucks made it abundantly clear right off the hop on this video that it was filmed before March the 15th. Canucks drove to the final buzzer down in Dallas tonight and then some into overtime. Late goals from Atu Ratu, Pius Suter with a pair, and then Kiefer Sherwood, the winner from Garland at 3:44 of overtime. Final shots 32-28 in the Vancouver Canucks' favor, and they pick up their 36th victory of the season, so they improve to 85 points, and for the time being are within 6 of the Minnesota Wild with 4 games to go. Again, as long as they're alive, we're going to paint you this playoff picture. It can all end tomorrow night when Minnesota's at home to the San Jose Sharks. We get that. But as it stands after the win in Dallas, the Canucks with 85 points, 4 games to go. Calgary has 87 points, 5 games remaining. And Minnesota with 91 points and 4 games to go. And then Minnie's coming this way at Calgary on Friday. I hope that means something. I do hope that game means something, that the Flames still have an outside chance. I like the idea, the season that the Calgary Flames have had. It would be cool at the Saddle Dome to see a game with some stakes there that late in the season. And then the Canucks get Minnesota on the second half of back-to-backs. And I saw Mike Russo, who covers the Wild for The Athletic, suggesting that Marc-Andre Fleury, because it's back-to-back, and they only have 1 game remaining after that before the playoffs, Mike Russo thinks that will be the final regular season start in the legendary career of Marc-Andre Fleury on Saturday night at Rogers Arena.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think he's making his final home start tomorrow.
Right.
I believe.
Yeah.
So then that'll be the next one. But yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, it ain't over till it's over.
No.
Right? And the Canucks crawled themselves out of a body bag in this one.
I think we did declare that it was over after
Well, I mean, it is. But like, it's not officially.
It gives us lots to talk about. It turned into a fun night of hockey, and I hope a fun episode here at Rink Wide. Again, startled by the developments, especially against an opponent, the quality of the Dallas Stars. But maybe the Stars are taking on a little bit of water here late in their season. Whatever the case, the Vancouver Canucks will stay alive until Wednesday night at the very least, as Minnesota's at home to the San Jose Sharks. That is going to do it for us. We always tell you here on Rink Wide, make sure you follow us on our social channels. If you're watching on the live stream, you can see many of them there on the screen. So take your pick. And, of course, subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Yep. Rate and review. Leave us a note. Share with family and friends. Let them know if people aren't aware of what we've done here all season long, and we will continue to do after each and every Canucks game, deliver post-game coverage live here on YouTube, and of course podcasted as well wherever you get your podcast. But that is going to do it for us. 6-5. The Vancouver Canucks get goals from Jake DeBrusk, Victor Mancini, Atu Ratu, Kiefer Sherwood, and a pair from Pius Suter, and Thatcher Demko somehow ends up getting the victory in this one. Casey DeSmith is tagged with the overtime loss. 6-5, the final. Crazy comeback for the Vancouver Canucks, but that is going to do it for us. So we thank Jacob Lazar, our technical producer. For Irf, I'm Jeff. Thanks so much for hanging with us here on Rink Wide Vancouver.